days before trains, people would get around by walking, or if they could afford a horse, they'd take a horse. So people couldn't actually get very far at all. What seems to be a relatively short journey for us would be a major undertaking that would take a very, very long time. So, you know, they didn't do it. But with the invention of the steam train, everything changed. They could get places in a matter of hours that they'd never ever visited. They could see parts of the world that they didn't know existed. And many of those people described those steam train journeys as travelling back in time. Why? Because their perception of travel was changed so significantly that it felt like travelling back in time to them. And that's what I want to talk about in today's vlog, how you can make more time, how you can prioritise in order to achieve more with the same time every day. So what better place is there to do that than the train station? Ooh, this is nice. Now, one of the biggest blockers to people creating stuff is time. Time. There is enough time. There's loads of time in a day. It's really about how you use your time. I've got a family of 3, I have a 9-to-5 job, I shoot weddings and run a wedding photography business, and I'm creating all these videos as well. There is enough time, it's really about how you use that time. You have to take a clear look at what you are doing and see where your time chunks are. If you're spending all night watching Netflix, that's on you, that's not on anyone else. You've got to cut those chunks out. I just don't watch TV, I barely watch any TV at all until I get everything I want to done. If you're spending all night on Facebook or internet or email, be aware of that and start cutting out those chunks and be much more aware of those time drains. They will free up so much more time for you to do things. And when you cut them out, don't just cut them out and replace them with something equally as non-productive. Cut them out in order to achieve something. Have something in mind that you're going to do instead of that, and be mindful when you're doing these things about when you need to stop. That's the biggest thing that's affecting your time. It's the chunks of a lack of productivity that's really preventing you from moving forward. You actually need headspace in order to be creative, in order to think of new things. There's a famous clip with Bill Gates and Warren Buffett where Bill Gates looks at Warren Buffett's diary, and for the entire month of June there is only 2 appointments in that entire month. And Warren Buffett says the only thing you can't buy is time. He's the richest man in the world, he can buy anything he wants, but he cannot buy time. He protects that time so fiercely. He uses that time to think, and then he knows, because they're properly planned out and thought through, that those steps are going to be effective. I really want to go around and look at some more trains. Always be really aware of your gap times. These are the times in between everything else. Like the times when you get off the train and you walk to work, or the times that you're on the train and you're going to somewhere else, or even just the times when you're walking from a room to another room in your office building. Gap times are everywhere and they should be used really, really productively. You could be listening to audiobooks, you could be listening to podcasts, you could be planning stuff out, even if it's just planning in your head, or you could be thinking of new ideas. When you stack up gap times, you'd be surprised how much gap time there really is in your life. And when you start leveraging those gap times, they can provide freedom and flexibility in your big chunks of time. Like if you've planned something in your gap time and then you have it ready, as soon as your chunk comes along, you can execute, and that really does make a big difference. More trains! Lists are a really good way to start prioritizing your time. At the beginning of every day, make a list of 3 things that you want to achieve during that day in priority order and put them above everything else. Work through that list and ensure you prioritize. And it's only when you finish that list that you're allowed to go off and spend some free time doing stuff like that. If you want to get your big idea out there, you've got to commit time to it and deprioritize other things. Lists really help with that. I'm the king of the world! I've got a secret here. I know we all hate it, but you have to delegate in order to get what you want. If there are people that can help you with stuff, then you've got to go out and give them that work and let them help you. Now, they might not be able to do it as well as you. Actually, they might be able to do it a lot better than you, or you can upskill them to do it as well as you. But you can't keep everything to yourself. You cannot do all of the work yourself. I know it's hard, but you've got to try and give it a try. Man, it is bright. I need to get an ND filter for my lens. Super, super bright. We'll do it this way. It doesn't look as cool, but we'll do it this way. Last thing is perfection. You've got to let go. There is no such thing as perfect. You've got to just be happy with what you can do in the time that you've got and do it to the best of your ability. You cannot be poring over stuff. This whole video today, this entire thing has been shot in under an hour because I can see things, I know where I want to go, I rigged the camera up, I've got a list of the stuff that I wanted, which I planned beforehand, and then I just come on and do it. It doesn't have to take that long, and also it's being done in under an hour because that's the amount of time that I have. I'm working to a deadline. It's far more important to create than it is to create perfectly. No one can create perfectly. Let go of perfectionism and just do. You've got the power to be able to do so much more every single day than you're probably doing right now. It's really just a case of self-awareness, prioritization, and cutting out all of those time drains, all of those chunks of things that aren't moving you forward towards your goal. Whatever your goal is, you can do it. It's just a matter of time. Done. 44 minutes. 44 minutes to do that whole video. There you go. It's all doable.